Hey everyone, so many of you are asking me how it went going to the Burbank Unified School District meeting and trying to get our voices heard that the curriculum that they're trying to force down our kids' throat is not what we want. It is not good for our kids. It is only, forcing a particular narrative on our kids and how it went. So I just made a video uh, just to answer the common questions with that. And also, more importantly, no matter who's watching this, wherever you are, and who your school board members are, I really want to encourage you to go, to show up. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared, because if you're scared, then they're already controlling you. And because I think as parents, we're all afraid to be called racist or white supremacist. But you guys, you got to look past that and realize that you know that that's not true. You know your heart. And secondly, you have to know that the race card is their number one, their only game card to play, because if they can control you with that, they can control you with anything. Okay, so I want to I want to encourage you to go. I would never control you, and I want to encourage anyone watching this that if your school board meeting is not, or your school board is not listening to you as the parent, that's their number one job. If they're not listening to you guys, get your kids out of public school. I know it is hard. I know your kids miss their friends, but listen, as parents, we're hardened warriors at this point, at the end, with a year and a half of this BS, okay? And we're just at this point where the only thing that they're going to listen to is take your kids out, because a school board gets, or an entire school district gets funding for each child that goes. And if they also get funding for these, the changing of the American history, for the disgusting sex ed, for an LGBTQ and pronoun, we're going to make up pronouns, and the anti-racist training and all of that, starting with kindergarten. I mean, come on. So here is the biggest concern. It's too much, too fast, and it is all based on a theory. They have no idea. Okay, are we going to say that there is no problem with racism whatever in America? No, I think that'd be naive to say, but to say that every single white person is a white supremacist, come on. They're trying to control us, and they're trying to control you. And it is not, and we absolutely do not need any curriculum like that at the elementary school level, okay? So I want to tell you a little bit about my experience, about some responses that I heard, and I want to respond back. So here's what happened is you go and you get a little card, you write your name down, and then you get to speak. You're in line to speak, and they'll take many people speaking. I did appreciate that there was a 5-minute time limit per person. I think that was very reasonable, to say your piece. And I was so impressed at about 90% of the parents in the room came out to speak out against this with real, amazing, heartbreaking stories, facts, hard facts about why this is not good for our kids, because this is a social experiment. Is that we have no idea. I think I've already said this. We have no idea what if this is going to work, if this is going to give the outcome that they think. And it is not at all, this problem is not at all what they think it is. It's just their excuse to implement a certain narrative and really bring in Marxism and communism into the United States. And they know it, and if they don't, then they don't know history. So okay, sorry, got off track. So you get to speak for 5 minutes, and after all the parents speak, then the board responds. Now, you don't get to respond after that. So they all kind of said their piece back. And here's the thing, it sounded very rehearsed, as if they all got together in a meeting. And I don't know if this is me presuming, that as if they all got together and met before and said, okay, we're going to hear what parents have to say about this. And no matter what they say, no matter what comes out of their mouth, they're all white supremacists. We just have to keep the narrative, guys, that they're all white supremacists. They don't get it, and we know what's best for their kids, and they don't. As long as we stick to that, we're good. And that's exactly what they did. And so it showed us that they aren't really listening to parents, and that's their number one job. If they're not doing that, then they deserve to be recalled, and they probably will be, quite frankly. And so, but they showed us that they have no intention of actually listening to parents, acting on their concerns. Oh, they'll hear it all day. They even said, let's keep this conversation going. Yeah, that is just their way of deferring, deflecting, and pressing on with their own agenda without the parents' consent. So, I do want to specifically respond to Emily Weisberg in the Burbank Unified School District. She's a history teacher, all about changing history to fit the leftist mindset of let's make everyone into a Marxist and communist and hate America. So here's an example of, because we are hearing, in fact, one of the stories that one of the parents at this board meeting shared was that she has an 8th grader who is in distance learning. She overheard something that this teacher was saying on the other side, and she had to say to that teacher, that is your opinion. That is not necessarily fact. That's your opinion about history. It had something to do with changing history to fit that narrative. And that's exactly what we're fighting, is teachers pushing their opinion. Now, everyone can have an opinion, but does that mean our 8th graders need to know their opinion? No, we need to be teaching our kids how to think for themselves, not to just think like you. So this is Miss Emily Weisberg. Her response to one of the biggest concerns that we parents have, and that is mandating this COVID-19 vaccine for children in order to go to school. So, which is, one parent gave so many facts on why that is a bad idea and why we won't stand for it as parents. And here's what she said. She said she's a history teacher, 7th and 8th grade actually, ironically. And she said, well, George Washington, he mandated a smallpox vaccine for the Revolutionary Army and his troops. And, sometimes you have to do what is best for the greater good. I respectfully, I lost it in the back because there's so much wrong with everything that she said. And I hope she watches this video and I hope she is exposed for the liar and the manipulator and the deceit that is dripping from her mouth. Okay, first of all, George Washington was a general, and those were his soldiers. That was an order. They didn't have a choice. When your commanding officer gives you an order, you get an order. That's what military is about. And our children, our school boards are not generals. And our children and the parents, we are not your troops. We do not have to comply. Secondly, George Washington mandated that only for the army, the actual soldiers, which would mean grown men. Sometimes men over 16, I believe, perhaps 14. Actually, I know I have a history degree too. I know is at 14, probably 14 and up. But he did not mandate that for civilians and their wives and their children. Next thing is that a vaccine now is ever so much different from an inoculation then. Inoculation, though, is the real strain of a virus that you got, and it had none of the junk that is in our vaccines now. And it was 1 dose of smallpox, not 70 plus a COVID, which is 71 now, that they want for our kids. With all the garbage and toxins in them, that is causing a lot of adverse reactions, a lot of man-made sickness. And so it does matter how many doses that is. And also, lastly, the smallpox is quite a bit higher death rate than COVID. COVID, first of all, doesn't affect children hardly at all. And even for the basic adult who it does affect a little bit more, it has a 99.99% chance of survival. We know smallpox did not have that. So Emily Weisberg, shame on you for using your historical expertise as a teacher to deceive your entire district. Shame on you. So parents, I just want to encourage you to get involved. They'll listen if we leave. And have a great day and know that you have support. Have a great day. Bye.